I thought I was gonna have to warm up for this one, but we will go right into it.
Go.
Okay, guys. So
Warm up as in get angry.
I have to. Yeah. Okay. So the year was 2019. And I was extremely poor.
Oh,
I could afford exactly one streaming service, and that was YouTube Red at the time. And one of the things that you read a lot about, or if you watched videos like Geeks and Gamers or any of these channels, there was a lot of news coming out about Elizabeth Banks in the 2019 disaster flop that was the Charlie's Angels movie.
Yeah, I remember.
And what she did is she made this movie all about feminism. It was all about subverting expectations. It was all about take that, you incels, no male gaze for you. And now she is gaslighting literally the entire world and walking it back and saying that was never the intention of this movie.
Were you able to tell that it was going to be like that from the trailer, or
you could
after
tell
you
that
watched it?
You could tell that from the way she talked about the movie. She promoted it that way, not the trailers.
Okay.
She promoted it that way.
I remember this, and if I recall correctly, you guys in the chat may correct me if I'm wrong. This may have just been a meme. There were two articles. One
I
saying,
have it pulled up here.
Yes. Is it the one saying, no, this isn't for you, men?
Yep.
And then the other one saying,
Tell
men
you.
aren't seeing this. Oh, my God.
Straight white males. This movie is not for you.
Yep.
And then the second one, that one was on just on November 8th. And then why are straight white males refusing to see this movie?
Why do you think?
Okay.
You freaking idiots.
So the point here is it says Elizabeth Banks regrets Charlie's Angels marketing. It wasn't a feminist manifesto.
her.
It was just an action movie. To which I draw my attention to this article that says Elizabeth Banks declares message for Charlie's Angels reboot. Probably believe women. And it says, and I quote, in a recent interview with entertainment website Collider, the director and screenwriter and actress discussed the upcoming movie. It's 2019. We can't afford to not get political, even within escapist entertainment. It said, one of the statements this movie makes is that you should probably believe women, Miss Banks said. We have so much validity in what we're feeling and how we want to go about living in the world. Being in the world, and what's really important to me that we felt with this, we had the characters that were being taken seriously and given a chance to live their best life. That has nothing to do with hot female spies.
I can't believe you made me listen to that. I just zoned out halfway through.
We know that Brett feels strongly about hot female spies. And if you do that wrong,
oh man,
you will have hell to pay.
It's so easy to do.
I care about hot actor is in general in the spy genre or in any genre,
yeah.
But the hypocrisy of it is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
She says, I wish this movie had not been presented as just for girls because I didn't make it just for girls. Yes, you did.
Literally,
you
did.
absolutely made it literally
God.
just for girls.
Well, it's like, how dare you obey me? They want to
Do we need a Zen moment here?
crack the whip at the male audience and then say, like, how dare you obey what I told you to do?
Exactly.
I'm going to quote further to what she said in 2019.
Gosh, I can't handle
this
it.
movie has to make money. If this movie doesn't make money, it reinforces a stereotype in Hollywood that men don't go see movies to go see women do action movies, she said in an interview, which interestingly was given before the movie's release. So she's blackmailing you. If you don't go see this movie, you're a misogynist.
Or you're racist. Yeah, we've seen that
Banks
too.
added, they'll go see a comic book movie with Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel because that's a male genre. So is the spy genre. You lying sack of crap. So even if those movies are about women, they put them in the context of feeding the larger comic book world. No, they tell interesting stories from interesting characters that are done by women with a decent amount of screen presence and warmth.
And cleavage.
And
let's be fair.
I mean, I don't even know if I'd go that far with Wonder Woman. And I understand that Captain Marvel doesn't fit into that, but Captain Marvel wasn't good either. Captain Marvel had the Marvel machine behind it to make that movie succeed. And they stuck it right between Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, and then told you had to go see it, otherwise you wouldn't understand what the hell was going on in Endgame.
Just
Bullshit.
Was that true?
No,
Not even
close. Thank you.
Thank you.
Banks then added, happy for those characters to have box office success, but we need more women's voices supported with money because that's the power. The power is in the money.
Okay, but
take a moment.
that is true. But make something
that has nothing to do with her new comments that are saying, I was just making a movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Were you trying to make a product or a statement?
How did
you
this
need
happen?
to pick one.
Exactly. I was just making a movie. How did this happen?
How could this have happened?
The actress said that she doesn't consider Charlie's Angels more feminist than the previous. Said she doesn't consider the film more feminist than the previous fare, although the creative team did dismiss the ideal of female sexuality. We play with that trope that and then dismiss it pretty early on in the movie, she said. The women in this film use their brains and their wits. That's feminism. I don't care what you say.
You know, it's also a very odd iteration of feminism to make this false dichotomy between women having sensuality and sexuality, and that is somehow opposed to them having intellect.
Yes. As if you
like
can
it's
have
a
one,
very
but not the
weird
other.
statement.
It's very reductive.
Wouldn't it
I
be
agree.
smart to know when to use your femininity to get one over on a guy?
Yeah, which
right?
is why
What?
before we had this hyper awareness of social justice agendas in film, then they were more able to make authentically so-called empowering films for women.
Yeah.
Which would be the original franchise, right?
And the thing is that first franchise was fun and lighthearted. It was an MCG production, and that guy makes nothing but fluff. Okay,
Which is okay.
Yes, there's nothing
There's a
wrong with
place
it,
for
but she
that.
does not want to make that. She wants to make her statement with her products.
Fluff means more to people because they can insert their own story and their own meaning
Well,
into
there's
it.
less like heavy-handed
Yeah.
social engineering nonsense like she's trying to put in there. Like gag, seriously.
You're beating down men with the marketing, and you're beating down women with the actual product they gave them.
Yeah, it's a good
They
point.
spent $48 million.
No one wins.
They
Right.
spent $48 million on this movie, which means it cost about 70 something to make. It made exactly $8.9 million in its opening weekend and made about $73 million. It profited about $1 million, except for the one fact that when they make their money, they only keep 60% of that box office.
Oh, I see.
So they lost money heavily
Womp
on this
womp.
movie. Nobody wanted to see it.
Who could have
this
foreseen
this is blatant walking back and pretending like something never happened. And I'm offended. I'm actually offended.
No, this
that
is-
you get to just pretend that you didn't do this.
She's not.
I
just
don't get
pretending.
offended very often.
She's
lying.
She's rewriting history.
Yes.
She's gaslighting people. This is classic lady manipulation. Like, oh, I never said that. Give me a break.
When
She's
women,
clearly lying.
she says, Banks said that when women do things in Hollywood, it becomes this story. There was a story around Charlie's Angels that I was creating some feminist manifesto.
Yes.
I was just making an action movie. Literally everything you said before this contradicts that statement.
Imagine if before the film came out, she said, I'm not making some feminist manifesto, I'm making an action movie. And how excited you would be to watch
Yes.
it if she had said that back then and she had not said it as damage control.
You don't get to have two realities and pick the one that you want.
This is unintelligent business.
Yeah.
I'm not even talking about like ideology
Yeah.
or anything.
This is bad
If
business
you
plan.
like, this is bad business, and this is why I keep saying there are so many people in the entertainment industry who are ideologues who are not profit driven. They do not care about making money. They care about making their statements. They care about their reputation and their image more than they care about their bottom line.
Yep.
This came out at the same time as Terminator Dark Fate, which introduced a bunch, they get rid of John Connor in the first 2 minutes of the movie and then introduce the young female character that has about as much screen presence as I would have. Which is exactly
Don't
zero.
sell yourself short.
Exactly
You
zero.
probably have more than she did.
And in that movie, nobody gave a crap about that movie because it's shoehorned, it's fake, it doesn't fit. And I could be fine with that if you took your L and you just said, I made a shit movie. Sorry. Here's
Go off.
Here's the
I
thing.
never.
Ghostbusters 2016 was disgusting, awful, and probably started the culture war. But they didn't try to walk that garbage back and say,
owned it.
we were just making a Ghostbusters movie.
They freaking owned it.
How could
Dare
we
you
have-
assume it means something to us?
Yeah. Like I'm not offended that she made a shitty feminist movie. I'm offended that she's pretending now that she didn't.
I don't think, by the way, that Ghostbusters 2016 started the culture war. I mean,
being
that's a bit of a
hyperbolic,
hyperbolic
I'm
statement
being
there.
but it's part of it.
It was
right?
a big battle.
That we had Gamergate,
In the
we had
beginning
that
stage.
we had Gamergate, we had that, we had The Last Jedi, which all led up to where we are now, where there's a culture and there's a crisis, and that they go together. It's a pop
It's like
culture
we
crisis.
talk
Oh,
about
a
that
pop culture
pretty
crisis
often.
type thing, huh?
So this is another article from 2019. It says Charlie's Angel director Elizabeth Banks is facing a social media backlash for comments she made about movie-going audiences' predilections towards action blockbusters featuring women. Again, I want to point out that nobody gives a crap about women in blockbuster roles as a bad thing. They want to see it. They just don't want to be talked down to and told that if they don't, that simultaneously it's not for them. And if they don't go see it, they're promoting misogyny.
Right. Well, Wonder Woman did great. We saw Alien was fantastic. We've seen so many cool ladies movies. We saw Kill Bill, which, I mean, Quentin Tarantino, shockingly based, it turns out, because he will not cave.
This is a list of 2 full pages of TV
There
shows
you go.
that star women.
Right.
Screen cap it now, folks.
That goes back 20 years. Your narrative is
Let me
garbage.
see. I want to see it.
Your narrative is garbage. You're lying.
Yep.
And it's not the feminism. It's the lying.
Don't forget Resident Evil. I hope that's on here because
That's a movie,
great,
not a TV show.
Oh yeah, that's a great
those are
show.
just
I like
TV
that
shows.
one. I thought that was
So
awesome.
I'm offended because, like I said, it was I was broke, and I'm being told by this woman that if I don't go see her movie, that I'm somehow not supporting women in film. No. You don't
Wrong.
get to make that decision.
Wrong.
You don't get to make that choice. So these are some quotes that people said to her. They said, "I know misogyny and sexism runs rampant in Hollywood, but Charlie's Angels' lack of success isn't due to either. In 2017, the top 3 grossing movies were all led by women. Charlie's Angels isn't doing well at the box office because it's a crappy movie."
There you go.
I predict that the Little Mermaid movie that's coming out soon is going to follow this model where they tell you that the movie is not made for you if it doesn't appeal to you
But if
on
you
its
don't
face.
see it,
But if you didn't see it, and if they flop in any way, shape, or form,
racist.
it's your fault.
Yeah.
Because you know, you were racist against Halle Bailey, or you're sexist because you don't think that princess movies have a value in culture and representation. It's always about pivoting to blame the audience for your missteps.
And I want to point out that there is one quote here. Like, I'll give her a little bit of leeway in one quote she said, but you can't just take one quote and say that meant that you didn't market it as a feminist movie, right? So she says, it's a movie that I want to entertain all audiences, but I did want to make something that felt important to women and especially young girls. Okay. That is the fairest statement I can give you. Yeah. But
But did you even accomplish that?
She did not.
This movie was important to probably zero young
people.
girls.
She made herself Bosley in the movie. She gender swapped Bosley, made all the men evil or morons. No. You cannot, like I said, one quote does not excuse the totality of the evidence against you, which is that everything else that you said made it a feminist film.
I think the biggest issue is that she did not shut up for the whole duration of the production time, and now she's like, "Oh well, I never said any of that." It's like, girl, if you had just kept your mouth closed, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Thank you.
Gosh darn it, I just picked all those up.
She says she continues. So this is from the Hollywood Reporter article. She says, after clarifying that she's proud of the film and referred to making it as an incredible experience, Banks went on to say it was very stressful, partly because when women do things in Hollywood, it becomes this story. There's a story around Charlie's Angels that I was creating a feminist manifesto. I was just making an action movie. I would have liked to have made Mission Impossible, but women aren't directing Mission Impossible.
True.
I mean, why do you think that is?
Why do you think that is?
That's a great question.
Because you would have to take Tom Cruise and tell him that you're the patriarchy if you do that.
Frankly, Tom Cruise wouldn't take that.
No.
I doubt it.
Do that to him.
She
It
said,
wouldn't work.
She continued, I was able to direct an action movie, frankly, because it starred women and I'm a female director, and this is the confine right now in Hollywood. I wish that the movie had not been presented as just for girls, because I didn't make it just for girls. There was a disconnect in the marketing side of it for me.
Who
you
could have done
literally
this to you?
All of the quotes about it were that there was no marketing. You were the marketing for this movie, and your marketing was that men are bad, and that if they want to be good, they need to go see this movie, while being told the male gaze is bad and the women can't act like women.
If you don't like it, you're sexist, and if you liked it for sexist reasons.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry, Brett. It's the meme. It's the GIF. It's that guy. I don't know what movie he's from, but he's wearing a hot dog suit and he goes, "We're all trying to find the guy who did this. Who could have possibly done this?" And it is, of course, her. The person making this declaration is the one who did this to herself.
Who could have foreseen this?
I mean, do you think she just got bad advice?
No,
about
she's-
how
she's-
to market this thing, or is
she is
this
a
about
feminist.
her?
This is
She
about
is a
her.
feminist.
She's
Yeah,
she's a hardcore feminist. I was reading through her. One of my favorite things to do is to go through people's IMDb's and read the quotes. And almost everything that she talks about is along the lines of something to do
Yeah.
with feminism. So
Classic.
It's a cancer.
On brand.
It's very 2015 to say that, but it's a cancer.
the
Eating away at everything in our culture.
So if you want to make money, if you want to make movies that are run by women and tell feminist stories and tell women's stories, that's fine. But you can't be divisive in your marketing, and you sure as hell can't walk it back later and pretend like that wasn't actually a thing. It actually does upset me.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
that you're just allowed to
Me
just
too.
Way
Way more upset than I thought
they
I would
always
be.
talk about gaslighting, right? This is literally gaslighting.
Yes. Well, okay, so literally gaslighting would be like having a little gas thing, like a little candle that has
Okay.
natural
Not
gas
really.
in it.
Not if that term actually means what it means. Just because something has two meanings doesn't mean the second meaning is wrong.
I feel like if you say literally, people are going to get the idea. Okay, never mind. I'll drop it. I'll quit being pedantic. But come on, man, use literally correctly.
I understand this doesn't offend you guys as much as
No, it
me
offends me.
it's.
Did you not see me losing my crap over here?
I mean, I just don't. I see these things. I see these headlines all the time, and I just don't feel anything about it. I haven't
Right.
felt anything about this, any outrage, any demoralization, nothing
Actively
about this
neutral.
for years. I'm over it. I don't react anymore because they're not going to change. The industry isn't going to change unless someone better comes along. And, thank God when that happens, if that happens.
Yeah.
But until then, yeah, fine. Just ruin it.
So
Go
I'm
ahead, ruin your own movie.
Yeah, take it away.
So I'm gonna go through a little bit more.
Fine, yeah,
Not
go
angry
ahead.
enough.
So I just want to go through this part at the end of the IndieWire article. This is an old IndieWire article from before the movie came out. It says, the main concern I have is that it will never happen again. She said, I feel like I've spoiled myself for going forward, and frankly, I think that's fine. That's my personal best. I have a friend who just ran a marathon and beat the personal best they did when they were 19, and now they're 46. They have bested it in a minute by a minute. I feel like that's how I'm going to approach everything. I have had my personal best. I'm going to spend the rest of my career trying to beat it. I'm fine with that quote, but this is where it goes on. It says, finally, as for anyone who might sneer at a woman claiming feminist space in the action realm, see the recent reintroduction of Linda Hamilton, plus 2 other new female characters in Terminator Dark Fate, which emboldens scads of online trolls. Banks offers these thoughts. I will say that that it's apples to oranges because Charlie's Angels has always been about women, and the DNA of it is about women working together on this team, she said. We are not treading in a male space. I think that's one of the big differences between these two things. I don't know. I'm less concerned about that. Of course, the trolls are horrifying, but I challenge them to get up and make a effing movie. I welcome any of them into my realm.
Her
So
realm.
you're contentious from day one. People are contentious because you're taking something that was inherently light, flirty, and sexualized and turning it into a moratorium that you're not
Into a
allowed to do that.
sermon.
Yeah, into a sermon. You're not allowed to do that anymore. So you cannot. I just don't get where the antagonism towards an audience is allowed to then be rewritten. You can't rewrite history.
Well, I don't understand why they were antagonistic towards the audience in the first place.
Because she was given a property that was against her beliefs. Charlie's Angels is flirty and sexy and very pro-feminist, feminine, a woman using her feminine wiles.
Like
She does
actually
not
feminine.
want, yes.
It's such a schizophrenic interpretation of these older shows and movies like Charlie's Angels.
Yes.
So you're either going to applaud the people who came before you, who made it possible to make a movie like this, or you're going to indict their character for making something that objectifies women, that is reductive and anti-feminist. You can never pick a side
She tries
on what
to
came before.
Yeah, she tries to go middle of the road on that here. She says, here's another part where believe it or not, the word feminist comes back into play.
Really?
Oh,
She
no.
says,
Shocking.
I think it's important that as a woman and as a filmmaker and as a feminist to recognize that I stand on the shoulders of the women that came before me, Banks said. I thought that thematically that this was appropriate to Charlie's Angels. I like to say that it was not my idea to turn Charlie's Angels from a TV show into a movie. It was Drew Barrymore's. I'm just building on what she started. The inclusivity and openness of those scenes really matters to me, and I think that it really speaks to women about how we should be conducting ourselves. The problem is, it's kind of like when Bill Burr talks about sports. Women, You can make something for all the women in the world, but they're not going to see it because they don't want to see this. They want to see women act like, they want to see hot women acting like hot women. They want to see hot men and be competent at their jobs.
That's aspirational content.
Yes.
Right.
That's
Which
what people
Gen
want.
Z apparently doesn't want.
That's so weird.
To be fair, she didn't make this for Gen Z. She made this for why
Well, she said she wanted to
inspire young
young girls,
Yeah.
which
she's in, like,
she
her-
didn't accomplish.
No.
What a failure, honestly.
I don't even know what to say anymore.
She says the film even opens up with Stewart's character commenting to a male Mark that she thinks women can do anything. It's tongue-in-cheek, but it's also a fast summation of the message Banks wants in her second feature to impart. So she's admitting right here that it's feminism, that it's a feminist film. But it's also a fast summation of the message Banks wanted her second film to impart. I wanted it to be a celebration of women. I could just end the segment right here because she's like,
Of
literally,
women.
of women. I
women.
wanted it to be a celebration of women, Banks said. I wanted it to remind people that women are everywhere, that you can't
Yes.
ignore us,
Hard
and
to
that when
miss.
you underestimate us, you give us a superpower. I feel like these are real, relatable women. The stunts they do in the movie are all within their actual capabilities. No, they weren't.
What?
We help people out with their wires and pads and things like that. I mean, I can't hurt them. I've given you enough proof that she's a lying,
Sack of garbage.
a lying, gaslighting,
Sack.
bad person.
There you go. Yeah, Zach.
All right, I'm done.
You're done going
I
off?
found it particularly offensive, given that this was right at that time when remember when we were talking about trauma and the director of Terminator Dark Fate wondering why didn't my movie do well? I told you to not go see it, and then you did not go see it. Why didn't my movie do well?
It's like Mary was saying. She's getting mad at you for obeying her imprecation. There you go. There's a good word for you, Brett. I expect recognition for it.
That was
her
fantastic.
imprecation.
Amazing.
To not go see her movie. You told her not. You told us not to, and we didn't. I don't know what you want from us.
The best strategy is if they say it's not for you, then don't watch it.
Yeah, just take their
Listen
word
to
for
them.
it.
I would
Save
be
your
okay with
money.
that if they then didn't come at me and yell at me later for not seeing it. Like it's like you can't win. You
course.
cannot. You cannot win.
You can
It's
just
like when
ignore them.
It's like when I complain. I know I can't. It's
Well,
literally my job to
stoicism
not.
in
That's true,
response to their lunacy is really the only way to win.
I can't do that.
Poor
I
Brett.
think that's a good thing. Go ahead. Feel how you feel.
I admit wholeheartedly that if there was one thing I wish I was better at, it would be to be more stoic. But I don't know if that would actually be good for the show.
No.
It's
I don't-
better that you're less
I don't know
stoic,
if
yeah.
stoicism is really the
Stoicism's
way to go.
boring, like on camera.
I would love to be more. I actually made a post about it the other day. I said like if there's one thing I wish I could be a more stoic person, but I'm not. And for the time being, that's fine as long as I'm not being called a bad person and then told I'm a bad person again for not seeing a movie in which you told me to not go see it because I'm a bad person.
Darned if you do, darned if you don't.
Yeah, you're
Classic.
racist if you don't go see this movie. You're racist if you complain about this movie. You're sexist if you don't see this movie. You're sexist if you complain about this
Yeah.
movie. You literally can't
They
win.
got you. So don't play their game.
You can't.
Don't play their
We
game.
literally have to play the game because
So talk about it. Call them on
Yeah.
it, and then just ignore their movies. Honestly, you don't have to play the game because you don't have to go see it. You can comment on her dumb marketing ploy.
it's it's almost like she tried to do her own version of "Don't Worry, Darling" by marketing the movie that way.
Yikes.
Like where they didn't give her
yeah,
an
but
actual.
where's the drama?
They didn't get well. There was like "Don't Worry, Darling." Actually, maybe they're freaking geniuses. They turned it into like more neutral drama. Where kind of like
They turned
Amber
it
Heard-
into a multiverse of drama.
Yes. Whereas like this is has a very
You can
clear.
pick your favorite
Yeah.
this has a
iteration of it.
this has a very clear through line, meaning like you're a man, and if you don't go see our movie, you're bad. But if you see it and you don't like it, you're bad. Whereas "Don't Worry, Darling" had a bunch of different drama about different stuff. She probably didn't get much of a marketing budget. If we assume that she got even the normal amount, which is you take what is it, $48 million, so roughly $50 million. 1.5 times 1.5, so roughly about $25 million to market that movie. That's not very much. So instead, she has to go out and tell everyone that they're bad people and take the Disney approach.
She did make quite the splash. I'll give her that. I wish she'd been smarter about it, but you know what they say: all publicity is good publicity.
No, I don't know if I believe that anymore.
So at this point, I'm questioning that because she actively encouraged people to not go see
Yes.
it. Like she basically told them it was going to be horrible, told them it was going to be feminist, and then also told them that it's not made for them.
Yes.
And then just, obviously we've been over this don't need to rehash it, but she marketed it in such a way that people were like, I don't want anything to do with this. I will not touch this with a 10-foot pole.
And once again, you're making something derivative of a franchise that you take personal issue with.
But think about how refreshing it would have been at a time when like Terminator Dark Fate is coming out and it's got the strong independent women message. Sarah Connor's literally like talking about how being mom's a bad thing in the movie, basically. And then you get like a Charlie's Angels movie that's like fun and light, and the women are giggly but very competent at their jobs, beautiful. The men aren't treated like buffoons. You could have done that, and it would have done very, very well because it wouldn't have had an agenda behind it.
Yeah.
But they can't do that.
Yeah.
Can't do
we
it.
were comparing, I don't know if this is a fair comparison, but we were comparing She-Hulk Attorney at Law and Elle Woods in Legally Blonde.
Yep.
And how Elle Woods perfectly portrayed a highly competent and highly self-aware woman who still had a bubbly personality and integrity and a personal, like a unique style, and she wasn't spiteful. She just wanted to prove herself for her own sake. And that's something that can't be accomplished today because we're just so fatally self-aware, I guess.
Yep.
Like, what other word is there to describe this? We're just completely curved in on ourselves.
Navel gazing.
I was thinking of Rosalia Niles, which I mentioned, and I mentioned kind of bimbo the other day, and I realized that wasn't the right word.
Bimbo core.
It would have been that the character was the smartest. She was always the smartest person in every room. She's a medical examiner. She's a doctor, but she is very lighthearted and kind to people. There's a warmth to the character that actress portrays beautifully. And that would never be allowed today. They would have to be combative and rude.
They do get very mean. It's true. I think this is just one of the things that feminism actually does to women is make them mean and rude. And I completely understand because it puts you kind of on the defensive. If everyone's your enemy, you need to constantly be on guard, which is sad because one of the greatest things about being a lady is that, sure, you might need a little more protection, but it also allows you to be a little more vulnerable, a little more compassionate. And these are some of the strengths we have that men don't, that absolutely no one will capitalize on because that doesn't sell. They just want us to be second-rate men. It's boring. I hate it. She can kick rocks.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.